Hey, it's the Bennington Show. I'm Ron Bennington. There's Gail Bennington.
Yo.
I'm Ron Bennington. We opened that up today because we lost a buddy over the weekend. Eric Tucker, who comes to a lot of our events. We were just notified that he just suddenly died. There was no real explanation. And we've seen him at... well, Chris would know more than me because you do all the ticketing, but just about, almost everything, right?
Everything. I met him so many times, hung out with him before and after events, and he was always a guy like, look, I'm in the city. If anyone drops out,
Right.
he was permanently waitlisted because I know he was always a great guy.
Yeah. I think the first time I met him was years ago when we did that Albert Brooks book club. We'd actually tried a book club once on the air, and everybody took it really serious. Then, everybody was like, it was kind of intimidating because everyone was much smarter than us. I'm like, oh, boy, I'm not going to do the book club again. I feel like I'm back at school just trying to bullshit my way through things. But yeah, I think he was at the last Street Jokes and, so many unmasked. And I know he had tickets for Thanksgiving and life, man. Life is harsh. And then, of course, the news when you woke up this morning in Las Vegas, are they still saying 50? I can't.
They're saying 58, at least 58 now.
All right, so that's gone from 50 to 58 since I left my house. Killed with a what appears to be a lone gunman, automatic weapon, shooting everybody up. Trump actually did a teleprompter speech today. As they said, he was very presidential about it, not off the cuff. And it's weird because this is almost too common, too shocking, too numbing, and too overwhelming to be as empathetic as a human would like to be. You know what I mean?
It's very hard to let this stuff stick to you. Probably survival because of how much we've just been hit with so many of these types of horrible stories over the last few years. It's weird to think that, the Pulse shooting does not feel that long ago. And during that, they were saying this is the worst in U.S. history. So it's so strange this soon after to experience that again and to let the weight of that really sink in. I think that a lot of people seem to put walls up on stuff like this now because it's so often.
The other thing is there's probably more security in Las Vegas than anywhere in the country. You know what I mean? Because money, and they never want to have something that could ever happen that negative that makes the paper, right?
Right.
So, I mean, if you try to even start trouble in Las Vegas, they're on you in a heartbeat. There's cameras everywhere. There's security everywhere. And I'm sure we're going to see this guy, coming in with different packages because you're just not anywhere that you're not filmed in Las Vegas. And I think they said the shooting itself was 10 straight minutes. But that's really not all that long when you think by the time they could get to somebody within 10 minutes. But because he had 10 or so automatic weapons and he was shooting out of two different windows, one facing one direction, one in the other, that he was able to do a ridiculous amount of damage here. How many injured? 500 plus?
500. Yeah. When I woke up this morning, it was 2. Then by the time I had taken a cabin to work, it had doubled to 4, and now they're saying 5. It's all of this information just kind of rolling in throughout the morning, and it's heartbreaking to see the numbers going up.
So, the reality of this is how do you even defend something like this? I mean, normally you always hear gun owners say, hey, if somebody else had a gun, blah, 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 but it's very hard to shoot to the 30, I think, second floor.
Yeah.
And this guy came with a madness plan of just taking out as many people as he could and then shooting himself. How your brain gets to that point after living on this planet for 64 years. You know what I mean? You would think within the last 64 years, a guy who would do something this crazy has done crazy things before.
Yeah.
Because I can't pick out the end game. Somebody says somebody did me wrong and I'm going to get even with them. We all understand that kind of anger. But to be as mad as the human race as you possibly can, that you want to shoot strangers before you kill yourself, that kind of madness is beyond where I could go.
Yeah. It's too much to fathom, and it's too it's so overwhelming, and you're right. It would be interesting to hear how anyone could try to justify, at the very least, whether you're pro-gun, you're anti-gun, that somebody could have a weapon that is an instrument of war. That's from 32 flights up. Yeah. I don't understand how that should be something that's in the hands of anyone.
I heard a guy on TV today that had been Secret Service, and he says to get these weapons is very difficult. If anybody knows what it would take to do this, 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. If anybody knows how we could possibly one day say to ourselves that this will be a rare event, 844 Rock God. I don't even have the slightest thought that we're going to do any kind of gun control. The country is just too pro-gun for that to happen. But I think even if you're pro-gun, you got to look at a situation like this and say something can be done. Something somewhere can be done. 844 Rock God, 844 Rock God. If you have any idea how this can finally stop in this country, or is this just the cost of doing business? Is this just something that happens? Is this our frogs from the sky?
I think it was probably after Pulse, and maybe we've talked about this before, but it is hard to imagine, even though this is in greater quantity with more loss, it's hard to imagine anything not having an impact after Sandy Hook, because that was such an example of something that it would be hard to argue, that you wouldn't want something like this to ever occur again and do things. So
not only people argue it, Gail, they don't even believe it. They say that it's a fake story, or somehow this was set up to do that. Let's go to John in Texas. John, thanks for calling us on Bennington.
Yes, the weapon you used is you need a T3 license, and that you go through a deep FBI investigation, and then you also meet with alcohol and tobacco and firearms personally, and they interview you. You also had a silencer. You can hear that the muzzle suppressor. That's why it sounded so weird. And the guns you had was really expensive.
Now, you think he had a silencer on it?
Yes, he did.
I've only seen a silencer in movies. I've never seen it in real life. That's the only place I've ever seen it. Now,
and also you need a T3 license for that as well.
Now, this dude, right, had to be squeaky clean up to this point, correct?
Either that, or his wife might have done it, but he should. More than likely, yes. He went through. It's a long process. It takes you like at least 4 months after the FBI does a real thorough investigation, and then you meet with the agents, the alcohol and tobacco agents, and you do a actual meeting with them, and they interview you, and then you can get them. But a lot of people actually do carry that. There's a lot of people that have that. I actually have one myself.
Okay. So it's a hassle to go through, but it can be done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, easily.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's, here in Texas, practically all the guns shops have full auto, but you do need that license. And you can buy silencers for any type of weapon.
All right. Thanks a lot, John.
Okay.
We're just going to do some talk radio here because this it's very interesting to see that how normal this kind of horror feels now. And I get it. We're never going to get rid of guns in this country. Most of the country is pro-gun, but something. We've got to have a solution. And in this case, a lot of times people say, oh, if there was more people around with guns. I'm telling you, if you haven't been to Vegas, I can't imagine a more secure place. You know, when people say good guys with guns, the security in Vegas is all over the place. Let's go to Thomas, Virginia. Thomas.
Yeah, I haven't heard this solution proposed yet. Is it possible to sell less than lethal ammunition for people who, shoot for sport or target practice, that sort of thing? I mean, that should be the bulk of what gun rights folks want to do. Let them keep the guns, but make lethal ammunition cost prohibitive so people can't buy hundreds of thousands of rounds of little...
Let me just jump in because I know this in fact. If you use this kind of gun, right, you would use it for target and sport purposes. You would need a ton of ammo. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's no reason to have this gun if you just have a couple clips. You know what I'm saying?
So make the ammunition that's deadly cost prohibitive.
So you're just saying make this a very expensive hobby to have?
Well, no, you could have inexpensive rounds that have less of a gunpowder charge to them, or non-lead bullets, and make it. I mean, they would still be very harmful, but not to a point where they're just killing people.
Well, I would say this: the NRA, who is normally the legal handbook, I think that they would look at the ammo thing the same way that they look at the gun thing. That you should have the right because the police and military have that right. They always use that as an excuse, and yet you never see anybody who is more pro-police and pro-military. And honestly, I don't know if I've ever met a cop who was anti-gun. They all think everybody should have guns. Hey, Sean in Tampa, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, as long as the criminal element is in play, they're always going to find a way to get their hands on any kind of weapons that they want. It's not law-abiding people that are going out and doing it.
Well, to me, Sean, up until this point, this guy appeared to be law-abiding. You know what I mean? Enough that he could get this gun. So, yes, in this case, a law-abiding guy seemed to have been the guy who had the gun, and you only stop being law-abiding when you start to shoot out a window. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how we can stop this kind of thing. Somebody must have some kind of idea. Here's Melvin. Lost you, buddy. Here's John in New York. John, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, first of all, isn't this Raw Dog?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, I turned on Raw Dog this morning to hear something other than all the...
Hey, by the way, John, if you ever want to become a fucking radio guy, you can. But my show, the way it's set up through SiriusXM, I can talk about whatever I want, whenever I want. That's the point of this. That's the point of talk radio. I'm sorry that and by the way, if you think comedians aren't talking about this today, all you have to do is go on Twitter. everybody is talking about this today, and I know you're acting, you're lying and saying, "Oh, I want to escape." But on 9/11, we talked about 9/11. This is the deadliest mass shooting in the history of the United States, and we're opening the show with it today.
You'll also hear that on late night tonight. I mean, this is something that's not being ignored. I was listening in a cab this morning to a pop music station that the cab driver was listening to, and that's all they were talking about between every break. I think that we're at the point now where it's too difficult for anyone to ignore this kind of stuff, particularly when we are hours after its occurrence. This is the world that we live in.
If you'd like to go over to the Interrobang, there is a thing already set up of tweets by famous and infamous comedians. This is the talk. It's one of the reasons we're not talking about Puerto Rico today. And again, for you to sit there and act like, oh, this is what I expect out of you, dude, you don't get that. That's not what you fucking get. You get 180 stations on here, but everybody can talk about whatever they want to on any of the stations. Here's Scott in Tennessee.
Hey, I'm not a giant gun guy or anything. I've got a couple, but you could do it's just the person, really. You could do the same thing with a big pickup truck, just plow through a parade and probably get as many people or more,
So you're saying there's just nothing that can be done to stop nuts. Nuts is nuts, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Correct. Unless you just kind of really keep eyes on your neighbors and maybe kind of alert people ahead of time this guy's acting a little nuts. But sometimes, people slide through the cracks of that.
All right, my friend. Here's Laura in Las Vegas. Laura.
Good afternoon.
Hey.
I just wanted to let you know that not only did he have one gun, he had 10 of those guns in his hotel room. And our city is coming together today. There's over 400 people at the blood banks. People are delivering snacks and water to the people in line. They're taking water and snacks to the people at the shelter that they took the people to. Our city's coming together today, in peace.
I know that you're rocked by this, particularly when it's your hometown. But I will also say this: there's also almost a how-to pamphlet on what happens when there's a shooting like this. The city comes together. There's candles. There's flowers. The different politicians make some speeches. They'll hashtag Vegas strong, all that, and then we move on until it's the next place. But
our city is very strong, though. We stick together, and I give all credit to SWAT. They got to him as quickly as they could.
Absolutely.
And I don't know what else they could have done. We have so many festivals out here that are outdoors, and this could have happened at any of those. But everybody is out this morning doing stuff to help. The blood is the most important thing right now. So if anybody is nearby and they can give blood, they need to give blood.
All right, Laura, take care of yourself too, okay, darling?
Thank you so much.
All right, bye-bye. City of Las Vegas, which is truly an industry town. The gambling and entertainment industry is by far the number one thing there. So when you live and work in Las Vegas, it's always weird that you can see sometimes like even softball games or the gyms open at very strange hours because everybody's working these shifts. So you can go by sometimes 6 o'clock in the morning and see, you're like, why are people playing softball? But they just got off work.
Right.
You know what I mean? And they'll have leagues set up. There's guys playing at midnight and all because it's a very, young town for that. So it is a town where people tend to know each other, and there's always something being put on. And sometimes, you're not even aware of it when you're in Vegas. You know what I mean? You'll just be in your casino for a couple days, and then you find out that there's some outdoor show that is, in this case, I think it was a 3-day festival, but it's not exactly going to be top page of the newspaper or even entertainment section because there's so many things that go on. And the people in that business put on shows like this all the time. Let's go over to here's our buddy Ezra in New York.
Hey, buddies, how you doing?
Good, man.
Love you guys.
Yeah.
This I agree with Scott. We can talk about gun control. We can talk about all of this control, but people are angry. People have been angry for a long time, and we're seeing a lot of that coming out right now.
Now, why do you think people are so angry, though?
Well, I don't like to get into black and white things, but we're seeing now with Trump, a lot of white people who have been angry.
Well, let's face some true facts here. This happened long before Trump. We had this. We're the mass shooting capital. We are the people that seem to have the lone gunman who's not even doing this for a political reason because he has some kind of internal anger. Something about his life didn't go fucking great, you know? And what he's going to do, he's going to commit suicide by shooting people and then either getting killed by the cops or killing himself. James in Ohio. James.
Yeah, Ronnie, I was watching the 60 Minutes just that night, and the Louisiana representative from southern Louisiana, I guess, Steve Scalise,
yes.
The guy who was shot in the hip at the Republican
I saw that.
practice. Okay, so he had that kind of injury from that kind of particular bullet, and I was just amazed that throughout that entire long-form interview, they never once mentioned gun control or the type of ammunition or the kinds of weapons that citizens could have. So
I will tell you why. It's because it's off the table, dude. It's off the table. We're not going to have gun control in this country. We got to have a different way of looking at it because Americans want their guns. America is pro-gun by a very large amount. As a matter of fact, I saw a thing that the guns, if you had buy stock in weapons things, those things darted up because something like this makes people go out and buy more guns. So
it's a sad commentary, Ronnie. I'm an American. I don't think people need that kind of weapon for any reason, but I agree that people should have their Second Amendment rights, but right. I don't agree there's no limit. There has to be some sort of limit, some sort of common sense should prevail.
I just don't. I don't ever see that happening, dude. I don't see it even coming close to happen. But thanks for calling us. Here is Dan in Florida. Dan.
Hey, buddy.
Hey.
Hey, I'm a gun owner. I like my guns, but there is no good reason for anybody to own this weapon, this kind of ammo, unless you're already sick in the head to begin with. I mean, how would one of these fuckers feel if their family members got mowed down by an AK-47? Seriously. I mean, what the fuck, dude? It's just sickening and maddening, and there's got to be an end to it. They need to round up every single one of those AKs, find every single person that owns them. There's no need for it.
Are you a member of the NRA?
I have been in the past, but I'm not right now. My family, my grandfather, my dad were all NRA members.
Yeah.
But there's no reason, Ronnie, for anybody to have this weapon.
Yeah, I don't think. I think what you're saying right now, these things cool off, and the NRA will defend the rights of gun owners, and I don't even see this being a true debate in this country. I see a lot of the same people who are anti-gun will say it, and they'll be shouted down, but it's not going to go any further. we've gone through this too many times. And once they shot up that school full of kids and nothing changed then, I don't see anything changing. Bill in Rockland. Bill, what's up?
Hey, Ronnie, what's going on?
Yeah.
Pro gun guy here, but I got to be honest with you, stuff like this happening over and over again kind of makes me rethink my position on the whole thing. Listening to the videos and everything, I'm 99% sure that those are illegal guns to begin with. That sort of rapid fire in that amount of time is nearly impossible to be done by the human finger that consistently. So they're already automatic weapons, which should be illegal across the board. But, with this sort of state, you're absolutely right. That whole good guys with guns can stop anything. This one definitely doesn't fall into that category anymore.
And
Love the show, guys.
when you talk about even illegal guns, right? At this point, they're not being made by the same way that we make meth illegally. You know what I mean? Somebody doesn't have an illegal thing. At one point, all those guns were legal. And if I look in Chicago and there's some 14-year-old kid who shot a 12-year-old kid because of whatever beef that they have, we can't trace that gun back to the first motherfucker who made it illegal. Somebody buys guns, whether they're in some kind of flea market or whatever, however they do these things. He throws them in a van and he drives into Chicago, and either he's selling it to teenagers or selling it to somebody who's going to sell it to teenagers. And the city of Chicago cannot seem to stop that. You know what I mean? Now, when it comes to, they're going to be, somebody could take a car drive. I'd rather have the kids in Chicago start to see if they couldn't start driving into each other with cars than have automatic weapons or semi-automatic weapons or 38 special, whatever they use in these little gang fights. But there's kids who get that get guns there. But no, Gail, you brought it up earlier about Sandy Hook. If Sandy Hook did not unite us in some way of like, hey, what can we do to keep guns away from nuts? We're not going to do that. Here is Rich in Philly. Rich, what's happening?
Hi, Benny's. I was watching an interview this morning on TV, and they were interviewing his brother, and his brother alluded to the fact that he would go to Vegas a lot. So I guess he was a gambler. I'm scared this is going to take a new twist to where the guy may have been sane all of his life and just flipped, and having access to all that hardware and guns brings up the new argument of, the same old argument is they shouldn't be available to anybody, not just anybody, not banning them from someone who has mental issues.
I hadn't heard the a gambling angle to this yet. I know he only lived about an hour outside of Vegas in a retirement community. But it always seems to me like if you can make it to a certain age, you're not going to go completely fucking bananas. You know what I mean? But in this case, this guy did.
Yeah, that's always a weird thing that happens is you start to try to rationalize when you see one of the killers of one of these mass shootings, and you're going, okay, what's his age? What's his race? What's his background? What's his mental health? It's so weird the way we try to figure someone out. And for some reason, that aspect of finding out that he was 65 years old, like I couldn't make right in my mind.
I know you want it to be a younger idiot who are like, hey, how come the school system didn't stop? But this guy would have made it all the way through to retirement.
I think because our knee jerk is always the stereotype of the angry young man snapped. And to find out that, this is someone of retirement age who lived in a retirement community, you're just going, how did this guy get through life?
How did anyone not say, oh my God, I live near a kook, or I was married to a kook, or my uncle is a kook? When Chris, I felt like he got past what I consider the lone gunman age. Now, if you come to me later and said that he killed his Costa Rican girlfriend and himself, yeah, I would not be shocked because that's a crime of passion. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Not a crime of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs.
Yeah, that stuff is too hard to figure it out.
Yeah. Now, Vito is still in the madness
He's
age.
still in still in the angry young man phase.
Donald in Southern California.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a brother-in-law who works at the Mandalay there, and he services the room that this man shot from. And I am the same age as this gunman. And I got to say that there's a lot of guys my age and older, around my age, that have grown up with a lot of hostility and anger and contempt for the justice system and unfairnesses that have been committed on them by the government, their family, their spouses, and so on. You have the Vietnam War, which was a very scary time for guys my age. You grew up, you went to Vietnam and you died. And that was the mindset when we were growing up. And I just see this guy as one of those, bubbling to the surface, going to make his mark before he checks out.
So, Dynel, here you are. You're about this age, about retirement age, right? And you are still as angry as you were during the Vietnam War.
Well, you know, that was a very strange time in our history.
Sure.
Especially for guys my age. A lot of guys just went over there and are gone.
Mm.
And then you take, you know, the court system and family and divorce, business. A lot of guys my age have been really screwed. And they've hung on.
Mm.
And they're pissed. And they're going to do something about it. They're going to snap. Look at Timothy McVeigh. He's treated extremely unfair. And he was just getting even for Waco Gate, Ruby Ridge, and so on.
But do you feel like when you look at this guy last night, he did anything to even whatever hardships life brought him?
No. Sad as fuck. It is sad as fuck.
Yeah. Because I think there's also, I think there's also, and you know, it's a perfect chance to bring it up because people, you know, the way people talk about millennials is the way people first talked about baby boomers, right? They had expectations, right? There's an expectation for great achievement in this thing. And for some reason, we take it personal when it doesn't happen to us. And even those of us who are very blessed look at other people and go, look how much more that person has or whatever. So I think that could also lead to our snapping. We're not a society who listens to each other. And oddly, I'm reading some of these things that some of these comedians have written. And somebody said, I think it's Ron Funches. Hopefully the shooter kneeled during the anthem before killing, so our government will be compelled to do something about this. The point is this. For the last couple days, the last week or so, we were crazy angry about kneeling. Before that, we were crazy angry about statues. Now, you would think that if our big problems were kneeling and statues, life would be pretty good here, right? But we're fucking furious about it. And, you know, I talked to my parents. They're both elderly. All they talked about was the kneeling, because I call them on Sundays, right? Yeah. And my dad said, who do you think's going to kneel? I go, I have no idea. I don't really turn on the game until the game's on. I was watching, because my team was playing at 4 o'clock, I was just going to red zoning. I don't have to sit through any nail. I don't really, but they were as angry as if that mattered. Now today, they're going to be focused on this. But we're always angry. about something in this country. I get angry about things in this country that sometimes are no more than gossip or an opinion that's just far away from my own. But you would think if this really is the greatest country in the world, you would be able to say, man, I'm in a great mood living here. I don't know people like that though.
Yeah.
I don't know people that are just living their life like they're Bugs Bunny and enjoying themselves.
And there's so much to say about those things that feel very important in the moment, but they're easy to define. Are you a kneeler? Are you a stander? Are you someone who wants to pull the statues down? Do you think the statue should stay? But it's stuff like this, like the hard work. It makes you think how people are like, well, this is uncomfortable for me. This deals with emotion, sadness, big issues, like things that is so overwhelming. So people tend to be like, fuck, let's sweep this one under the rug because I don't have the short and simple answer for this.
But I don't think that if we can civilly talk about kneeling and statues, how are we going to get around to this thing? I'll tell you something else. There are a lot of people who will protect movies and say, look, movies don't call it violent. But one thing that movies do is fucking... they give a false version of what happens when a gun is shot or a person is hit. How many times have you seen the guy being able to talk?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, go down there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or he's dragging himself around. And this congressman, the earlier caller that was on 60 Minutes last night, he was shot in the hip. Now, in a movie, nice, right?
The limp.
This thing shattered his pelvis, which fucked up all of his internal organs. He's walking around on those kind of walking canes that you have for your arms. After all this time, he's back. Everybody was like clapping and shit like that. But he has 100 fragments of a bullet that they did not take out, all because of where he was shot. So here you go. And if you watched a movie and a person gets shot, they're okay. Sometimes you, for whatever reason, get them some water, put a fucking jacket around them. And in real life, that one shot is horrifying. Horrifying. Maybe the reason that our TV can, not bring a freaked out thing when you see something like this is because how many times have we watched those kind of shootouts? Heat, go on and on and on. I'm not just blaming heat, but the fact is, we're kind of turned on by violence.
Yeah.
It is gun porn when we watch movies. Jay in Ontario. Jay.
Hey, buddies.
Yeah.
Just wanted to say, first of all, obviously, thoughts and prayers to the families that are affected and people that have passed away. Ronnie, as usual, you're pretty bang on with the whole gun law thing. I think it's more of a voting hook, just a bait to get some votes whenever they bring it up during an election. And, yeah, you're bang on. It's not really an issue. But I think listening to the shots that I've heard on the cell phones and the stuff that's going on TV, jumping to the conclusion that it's a fully automatic weapon that he bought, they're very expensive. He had 10 rifles in that room. I'm going to guess that it was more of a modification on an AR or the AK semi-auto, and it's a bump stock.
It's interesting. I hadn't heard anybody else say that, so that'll be interesting to see how that comes along. All right, thanks for calling, Jay. Here's Eddie in Houston. Eddie.
Hey, Ron. Hey, okay. Hey, Ron. Hey. I appreciate you guys talking about everything. I listen every day.
Thanks, man.
But my question, even if you had the most creative imagination, how could security let that much equipment into the hotel where somebody must have noticed this guy running suitcase after suitcase? You don't tuck these in your waistband. Between the machinery and ammunition, somebody must have said, what the fuck do you got in your room? Can you imagine any reason? Like,
well, I mean,
there's a gold bullion.
Yeah.
What else could you be bringing in your room?
So look, I would have no idea. What are we talking about weight-wise here? What are we talking about? I mean...
Hundreds of pounds.
Yeah.
Hundreds of pounds. There's no way to say those are my clothes, sir, or that's my medical equipment, or, like I said, I got, like, cash money. No way. And the hotel has the right to say, why are you taking 9 suitcases into your room? You plan on staying here for a month?
I will tell you this, though. I mean, a lot of people check into a hotel because they're in the process of moving and you don't want to leave things in your car and blah, blah, blah. I mean, I've never had anybody at a hotel ask me
Yeah.
what I was up to. And, you know,
I mean, I know we've checked in with sound equipment before, recording equipment stuff. So it's
Right.
possible
but isn't
that it might.
Isn't that kind of like opaque? You know, you can kind of, you don't need to run it through an X-ray machine or something. It's self-explanatory.
But you don't run in. I've never been stopped for security at any hotel that I've ever been in. You know, most of the time and I've worked in hotels, and I've never once thought to myself, "Hey, what is?" I mean, normal. I've seen some crazy shit go on in hotels
Right. Yeah.
when I was a kid, and what we just wanted to do was get the credit card from them, and that was it. You know, the customer is always right in that. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd go down there and there's fucking prostitutes or whatever. It never occurred to me, like, hey.
Is everything okay? Yeah.
Yeah. One time I worked at a hotel and I was very young at the time. And this girl was getting spanked and stuff. And she was crying. And I fucking banged on the door and started some shit with the guy. And the girl's like, everything's fine. You know, true story. Your mom was there at the time when we were just kids. And I ended up acting like a fucking idiot because I was too young to know. Oh, people are
They're getting into weird stuff.
Yeah, they had their own freak. I didn't know that she would be as motivated into the freakness of this.
Right.
And this fucking guy already didn't like his whole
vibe.
Weird thing. Yeah. He had that Florida vibe of the fucking gray-haired guy who's always drunk, shorts, hard shoes, and no socks.
Yeah, I know that guy.
Yeah,
I
that
know
guy's
that guy.
always fucking driven me a little crazy. So, like I said, I was like, you know, late teens, early 20s, and I was going to fucking straighten it up. And I'm like, oh, that's stupid, what I just did. Here's our friend Shreka Love. Shreka.
Hi, buddies.
Hey, babe.
So I just thought I'd call in. My best friend runs the marketing department for MGM Grand, which owns Mandalay. So this was basically one of the events that she put on. And her husband is a host, which means that he had a lot of clients there. Their job is to kind of get things all together. So I spoke with her this morning, and, you know, they were at the show on Saturday. But what she was doing this morning, at 6 this morning, was trying to find coworkers and clients. They had a lot of clients there. They had a lot of people. Obviously, their hotels were all in lockdown all night. So even just people that were separated from their family because of that. It's just so crazy to think about being there, you know, having friends and family and coworkers, and just not knowing where everybody is.
Yeah, it is a working town, and events like these are not that unusual in Vegas. I mean, this is pretty constant that if you're in that business, there's, you know, the electronics people coming in, or the insurance, you know, you just constantly put on these. It's almost hard to believe how many massive parties happen in that town. And this was just one of them.
That's right. I mean, every weekend there are a dozen huge parties, events, and everything. So I think she was just really shook up trying to find, you know, clients that they provided these tickets for, or provided this event for, and just feeling, you know, hopeless. But, you know, anyway, she was driving into the Strip to see how she could be helpful and try to put people together.
Well, you know, and that's where the long-term terror takes place with something like this, that you can't now go to events. You can't.
Right.
You know, it's why parents freak out when they send their children to school or have them playing in the front yard because something has happened before.
Yeah, I think a lot about how something like this happens, and it happens in a place, and it affects a certain amount of people,
Mhm.
and then it affects those people's families, and then it affects the people who are from that city, or somebody who, oh my gosh, my niece is and all of her
Right.
girlfriends are traveling in Vegas, and yeah, they're fine, but now that trauma, it's like this reverberation of trauma that happens outward. And then somebody who doesn't have anyone there, and they're like, man, I was around for something that happened in my town, or I know
We're
somebody.
all concert people, right? We
Yeah.
all have
Right.
had our best, times at life at different concerts. And if that changes even a little bit, your quality of life changes.
100%. And it was after the shoot, the Eagles of Death Metal shooting, and
Yeah.
after that, every time you were at a concert, it was hard not to kind of picture what was described to you and
Yeah.
think about it. I think plenty of people have expressed this to me, where going to movie theaters became an issue
Sure.
after what was that? Aurora was the first one, or
Yeah, in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And there was just an anniversary of that, 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But no one brought this up. What about the other night? 2 giant guns fell on Marilyn Manson.
Yeah.
Was that foreshadowing?
I
If
know.
anything was,
I
2
know.
giant guns fall on him, and then this. But I remember when the Great White, and that thing was just an accident.
yeah.
And then I thought to
Horrible.
myself, how many times have I been in things? We shot off indoor fireworks at gigs before.
Yes.
Uh,
Huge ones that were
yes.
crazy, like on the stage.
Jeff Appleoff.
Yeah. As he screamed to us, pyrotechnics, and we all just went running.
Shrek, best of luck to you and your friend and everybody in Vegas.
Thanks,
Okay. Bye, sweetie.
Bye-bye.
Bye. She's so cute. Nikki, California.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
I was listening on TMZ this morning. They had a collection of audio recordings from first responders.
Yeah.
They were scared to death, but you could hear the franticness in their voice. They were out of breath. They didn't know where the shooting was coming from. They were saying it was, it's all over their head. At the end, you heard dispatch saying people are trying to get rifles out of cops' cars to lock your cars. It's such a weird time with cops right now, and this just really brought the human aspect back, for me at least, that these guys are running in when everyone's running out, and they're just as scared, It was just interesting to listen to.
Yeah, there for some reason, and again, I think this is because of movies, that we have a tendency to think that military people aren't scared and cops aren't scared. But with bullets flying around, they're just as scared as any of the people in that crowd. Here's our buddy Pit Doc. Hey, Pit Doc.
Hey, Ronnie. First question. Did that guy up a few calls before say poor Timothy McVeigh was treated poorly?
Yeah, what he was saying is that people his age, and that was in their 60s, have been so beat down by the government, their ex-wife, blah, 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 that they're incredibly angry.
Well, Timothy McVeigh wasn't 60, and that's still fucked up. Anyway, you were on after the Newtown massacre, right?
Yes.
Why didn't you just run that tape today and go take the day off? Because this is the same thing that happens every fucking time.
Yes.
That we have a big come up and some congressmen speak up, other congressmen speak against it. All I know is the NRA is going to be having orgasms because all that's going to happen out of this is more guns are going to be sold. Okay. Add this to the opioid thing, which all of a sudden we have an opioid crisis for 2 or 3 years. We've had an opioid crisis for 25 years since I've been a doctor. Okay, just because white cheerleaders are over ODing doesn't mean we didn't have a crisis before. It all adds up to, Ron. Yeah. The final engine has gone out. We're gliding down. There are no parachutes, and it all depends on how long it takes to fall.
Thanks for picking us up. Picked up. Really,
I know.
Really enjoy that. Bye. Sometimes it does feel that way. Sometimes it absolutely feels that way. But I also think this. I don't think that you have anger, right, without incredible expectations, that somehow you expected life to work a certain way.
Yeah.
And maybe we bullshit the kids right from the beginning. Maybe we bullshit the kids not only through our education, but I'm going to say it again, through our entertainment, where somehow you like to tell these, all the kids get told at every age, you could be anything you want, blah, blah, blah. Maybe, you know what I mean? Some people get stuff, but I can also tell you, I know very successful people, and I don't think I know a lot of really happy people. I know a lot of people who've done very, very well in their careers. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're happy or satisfied.
But even sadness or madness, in the sense of like insanity, is one thing. I mean, I think that all of us can probably empathize, or even maybe even picture what it might feel like to be depressed or disillusioned. But it's just so hard to figure this out. And it's weird that this has been an ongoing conversation of my lifetime, of my generation. Certainly, as to my memory, a conversation that has been ongoing at least since Columbine. Like, I understand Columbine is not the first mass shooting, but it certainly felt like a marking point.
Well, when I was a kid, it used to be called going postal, because post office workers were so, I guess, doing that same job, which was heavy stress and heavy monotony, and you can't fuck up. And then they would get fired or something. Somebody would go nuts.
Right.
Am I wrong in saying Columbine was the first school shooting? I don't know. I don't know if I can think of one before them. You know, when I was a kid, you had the lone gunman who wanted to shoot a famous political person.
Right.
Oddly, that seems to have stopped. When's the last time we've ever even had, or our Secret Service is just so on the ball now?
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a very weird thing, that it was like a fad of assassinations.
Yes.
And now it feels like we're in a trend of mass shootings, like as though we pick these horrors and kind of go, okay, the last guy did that.
But also, I remember when there used to be psycho killers. You know what I mean? Serial killers. And when's the last time we had a famous serial killer?
Time.
Hey, there's a serial killer in the loose. You never hear those stories. You hear about the mass shooter. Here's Pamela. Pamela, what's up?
Hey.
Yeah.
Just getting off of work in New Orleans. I'm a nurse. I work at night. So I get the night shift in with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, I understand everybody being concerned and thinking that all of these shootings need to be, we need to know about it. We need to know the news. We need to know there's people around that are doing this. But every single time there's a shooting, it just seems like the next one is more people. It's more dramatic. It seems like the person needs that attention. He needs this Andy Warhol moment. And I see people that, things happen to them. Somebody at the hospital I worked at. And that was sad. And it's national news.
Right.
But it was sad. And, of course, we didn't have to throw anything else in there. We live in this state where our statues got taken away, like you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And people are angry about that. But I know everybody is upset about it. And, I mean, I'm upset about it. I think it's a horrible thing. I work in a hospital that has people addicted to heroin to people that are multi-rich.
Mm.
So do I go to work sometimes and worry that somebody might come through those doors and want to shoot me for my narcotics? I mean, it could happen. They could shoot a lot of people.
Sure, they rob drugstores now.
If they do this at a festival in Las Vegas, are they going to come and, they do come and shoot people in Mardi Gras.
Yeah, Mardi Gras. Anytime that you have any large gathering now. I think something's coming through that vent.
I'm coughing too,
I know, as we all had it a little bit. Well, the 15 minutes of fame is an interesting thing because a lot of people who don't give out the shooter's name. But we're all going to be curious about why this guy snapped so we could look out for it. But the 15 minutes of fame is funny for two reasons. Number one, that's not the kind of fame I think anybody would want. And two, why is fame such a big deal? Why, if your fucking stupid video went viral, is it a big deal? Ever since we've had this going viral, you can't tell me that the art is better. It isn't. Yeah. It's just stupider. At some point that we could just say, fame is kind of stupid. You know what I mean? But we don't believe that. We think the Kardashians are interesting.
And I know that does get brought up a lot. Like, oh, people see this on the news and then they want to repeat. And as I just said, it does seem like things go in a trend. But this is not even a fame. How can you rationalize this? Because this isn't even a fame that you can enjoy. You know what I mean? I don't understand how. I don't think we can think about it in the same way that they're like, oh, this is making people think that they're going to be famous this way. I mean, you have to be operating mentally on a level that I don't know anyone personally who would be able to understand.
And but the thing about fame and all that is so interesting because whether you like him or not, Trump is kind of our first viral president. You know what I mean? He's the first president that knows how to work that viral thing. So, again, maybe this is another thing we're never going to be able to do anything about. Let's go over here to John in Texas. John.
Hi, Ron.
Yeah.
The reason I believe that, I'm actually pretty sure that it's a full auto, I believe it was a M16, and I'm pretty sure he also used a drum. A drum is you can put up to 100 rounds at one time because you can see where they're shooting. The few clips that I have seen, people aren't really reacting. The singer was just kind of like dumbfounded because he wasn't 100% sure that there were actual gunfire like the way a gun normally fires. And from what I watched, he never unclipped and reloaded again. So that's why I believe he used a drum. And the reason to have multiple weapons is when you shoot that many rounds of 50 or so, full auto, the barrel gets extremely hot and then it starts to kind of melt. So that's why he had the multiple weapons. He knew what he was going to do. He knew that he knew he was going to cause a lot of damage. I think he used a 308 because a 223 would not. You wouldn't have that many deaths. So I think a heavier round, so a 308, and I'm sure he used a drum, and I'm sure he with a silencer. I called my buddy who has the same weapon, and he just told me the same thing. And,
all right. Thanks for that, John. I appreciate it. It's John in Texas. Here's Bobby in Las Vegas. Bobby.
Hey, good morning. What happened was people were saying they hired people trying to figure out how many guns they can get in a room. Vegas is full of gun shows, so you don't leave your guns in the car if you're going to a show or you're meeting a gun broker. So people normally would bring up every equipment they have back to their room. So it's nothing new for people to see, somebody bringing up that much weapons. And the gun shows here are so open where you can do person-to-person purchases where it's normal to buy that kind of weapon. And also people saying that, if somebody was at the concert with a gun, they can't shoot back. You can't shoot back 38 stories up in the air.
Absolutely not.
Willy-nilly. And then, because this guy, if you look at the picture I sent early, I think I retweeted it, he booked to two different rooms so he can get two vantage points looking down at the concert. He planned this since the 28th. He was there, and he checked in on the 28th, and knowing that the concert's going to be there, he blew out two windows and from two different sides of the hotel. So, he ran from one location to the other.
Yeah, I tried to figure that out, whether that was a suite, but you're saying he booked two adjoining rooms.
From what I gather, I think he booked two rooms because that's a pretty big suite if there was.
Yes.
Because
I thought the same
the windows
exact
are way
thing.
too far apart from each other.
Now, I'm going to point this out to the guys on our staff. We go to the Montreal Comedy Festival every year, and it's thousands and thousands of people and a festival thing, and our hotel is right there. And even this year, I was on the corner where I had two different vantage points, almost exactly like that. And it's literally the first thing that popped in my mind, that I've sat looking down on concerts and stuff like that from the room. And I'm probably looking at 20, 30, 40,000 people at any given time. Thank you so much for calling. So yeah, there would be no way. I mean, there's no way to get to that guy unless you go up in the elevators, bust that door down, and blast them. There's no other way than the way it seems like they did handle it.
Yeah, and it's surprising. I know that it's described as, it felt like it was endless, the amount of time it took and the amount of rounds that were being fired. But it is crazy to think how they were even able to find themselves at that door.
Right.
I can't really imagine when you're thinking. I mean, I've been to Vegas only once, and I stayed at the Luxor, which is across from
Preston.
Yeah. But I think maybe possibly the other direction from the vantage point that we're looking. But that whole town is hotels looking down on the same. So I can't imagine how they were able to even find themselves at that door within that amount of time.
You're right.
Because it seems like the possibilities would be endless of where that person could be coming from.
But there's so much security that there probably was people that were at 3 or 4 floors about that height. You know what I mean? Because I've seen shit break out in Vegas, and it ends like that, and people are through these exit doors that I wasn't even aware of, and boom.
Yes, security everywhere, cameras everywhere.
Yeah. Brian in Oakland. Brian.
I was calling just to say how much easier it is to make and produce firearms today than it was when the technology was invented 100 years ago. So even though you have a fully automatic weapon, it might not have came that way, and all of those are illegal. So it had to be modified in some way, or
right. And the fact that we're going to have these 3D machines, that there's already a guy who's making ammo. Oh,
you can reload ammo pretty easily.
Yeah. Thank you so much for calling us. But yes, it is. It's a difficult thing to point out. Adam, North Carolina.
Hey, Ronnie, how are you?
Hey, good, man.
Hey, Ronnie, I seem to think that we don't want to be confronted as a country with any of our weakness. I'll give you an example. Had this been a Muslim shooter, everybody that is in favor of keeping the guns would be pro shutting down the borders, deporting everybody that it does, because it helps deliver an agenda that they find comfortably. We are becoming such a pussy nation where we can't confront our own weaknesses because we go into our tribes and we put up our guards, and you can see the guns guy already getting mad, and you can see the anger already coming. We're the rich kids on the block that are the spoiled teenagers when it comes to the rest of the civilization and how long countries have been around, and we don't want anybody telling us how we're doing, and we just keep self-destructing.
There is no doubt to that. If you think of the difference of the way we would be acting if this was a terrorist shooting, it's the same. I mean, if this isn't terror, I don't know what is. But but we don't call this one terror.
Yeah,
that's just absurd.
Yeah, I noticed that right away this morning. Is one of the first things I was reading was they've rolled out terror, and I was like, so they've just decided that because of who this person is specifically. I mean, exactly.
I will say this. I'm gonna speak on behalf of my gender and race. We certainly don't want to be shot by black or brown people. I mean, we don't like being shot by white people, but that's easier to deal with because that's a lone nut. So I'll just put it that way. Yeah, and that's literally my own thinking before I could even get out of my prejudice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally, I actually thought today, okay, good. At least it's not a terrorist. And that's insanity right there. That's an insane thought to have.
And again, that only has to do with that almost like the same way, the reverberation of what this means afterwards, right? So for somebody whose family who lost somebody in this shooting, whether the reason in which this person did it is not going to give any more comfort or make them feel any worse, but then you hope for the best case scenario for the way it's going to affect us all, right? Like you're like, oh, I hope this isn't this because that would make this so much worse. It's just like what happens in the aftermath.
Right.
It's pretty surreal.
All right, here is Brenda in Kansas. Brenda.
Hi, sweeties.
Hey.
They said on the news this morning that responders, first responders, whoever on the ground could see the muzzle fire from the mandolin halfway up. But what alerted them to what room so quick was the smoke alarm in his rooms went off.
Oh.
Because it was producing so much smoke.
Sure, of course.
And it did. That's what they were saying this morning on Fox and Friends.
And that probably just
the
annoyed him
smoke
more.
Alarms, pardon me?
Just hearing that smoke alarm probably even made it crazy man crazier.
Yeah. So he knew the gig was up there.
Yeah.
And then, too, they said that he had cameras set up that was going to alert him when the police were coming towards him.
So he had
this pretty well thought out as far as, doing what he wanted to do there. But no, the smoke alarms went off in the room, so that's what told them exactly what.
Brenda, did anybody said there was a motivation of any kind?
No, not that I've been hearing.
Yeah.
It's just plumb pure evil for anybody to do that. So crazy or not crazy, that's just plumb evil.
But I get it, but he was a guy that apparently wasn't evil for 64 years. I mean, we may hear about shit.
Maybe he was.
Yeah.
Some of the most evil people in our history, they up until they found out he was evil, led a pretty normal life.
Yeah. All right. Thanks so much, Brenda.
You're welcome, buddy.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So much fucking firing that the smoke alarms went off.
Yeah.
And then he had this thing set up knowing that they were going to find him and knowing that he didn't want to be taken.
Yeah, I guess that was only for that purpose since they did find him, right? I mean, he had already killed himself by the time that they had arrived. So, yeah, I would imagine that would be the only reason
Yeah,
for
they were
setting
at
his
his
camera.
apparently at his door when he took himself out. And again, we have a borderline guy that we work with, Chris Stanley. And not to out you, but anytime anything comes up in the news and it's in Queens, I mean, it's a start to me every single time.
I do always text him to check in.
Well, there was that guy a couple of years ago when I was stabbing people. People thought it was me.
Why do you think I don't know how a stab works and you have to go like that with your hand?
He was stabbing.
I know exactly how a stab works. You don't have to mime it for me, Chris.
My apologies.
Over the weekend at the stand, I was working with geniuses. Jessica Curson is unbelievable on stage. And then David Tell came in.
Wow.
And he says to me afterwards, I wanted to do new material for you to say. I can't begin to tell you how incredibly funny this man is.
Yeah, he's the best. He's
literally the best.
And I love Jessica so much. I'm obsessed with her. I think she's just so phenomenally funny.
Why they're not just throwing specials at her is beyond me. And I was literally saying, because she has these ideas, and I'm like, just shoot them yourself. Just do it. Don't wait for anybody to say yes to you because they,
I also recommend anyone following her on Twitter, to follow her on Twitter because she's so funny and she puts up so many funny, uniquely weird videos that just make me fall out. They're hilarious because nobody Nobody makes expressions like her.
Yeah,
she
I know.
makes the funniest, weirdest expressions.
That's what is also weird, that she's a funny writer.
Yeah, because she's so physical.
Yeah.
I'm crazy about her.
Hey, Steve in North Carolina.
Hey, I was wondering if you think there's not so many serial killers because we've gotten better with the investigative technology.
I'm going to say yes to that, but I also think they've gotten better at not telling us. You know what I mean?
I was thinking that as well.
Right.
Like maybe, just like we said, like when I said things go in trend, like maybe that also has to do just with media coverage as well. That,
Right.
you know, we don't think about it the same way, or we just don't sensationalize it the same way for whatever reason.
I think they know better. I mean, it's rare for them to go, there's a son of Sam. Because if you think of 1977, New York City, I mean, the amount of violence was already crazy.
Yeah, how'd they figure out?
But that one guy, being the son of Sam, even made violent people stay off the street.
Right.
Because they're like, well, he's not jacking somebody
right
for their
His
crank.
motives are crazy.
Yeah.
Right.
He doesn't have the same motives that we have. You guys still watching The Deuce?
I've not seen last night's episode. I'm going to watch it tonight.
I have caught up because I was not watching last week. This weekend I caught up, and I am all set with Deuce.
I heard some weird stuff about this, though. I heard the next thing is going to take place 10 years later.
Oh, really?
And then the next one 10 years after that. I don't know if I'm as interested in the porn business as I am the Deuce lifestyle.
Right. And I see that the Deuce is moving into, obviously there's
We're all moving towards porn.
We're moving towards porn.
Yeah.
But it does seem like there's so much more story here on the Deuce. My friend's daughter is an actress, a lead actress in the show.
What?
And she's killing it.
Which one?
Her name is Emily Mead, and she's the very attractive young one who, Cece scoops up right off the bus.
Oh, yeah. She is good.
Yeah.
You know what? When it started, I thought she was an undercover cop.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, she's really good in this.
Yeah.
Now, who's the other girl who was like the NYU student who...
I don't know her exact name, but she's like 34 years old actually, which blows.
Wow, that surprises me.
She looks so young.
Yeah, she was in the movie Adventureland years back.
I saw Adventureland.
She was like Denise Pierce. She was like the pretty girl that they all worked with that wasn't Kirsten Stewart.
I knew she was very familiar to me when I
Let
saw
me see
her.
her picture at Adventureland. Because I've seen that movie a couple times.
Margarita Leviviv.
Look, she looks exactly the same.
Yeah, she does.
What did Chris call her? Margarita Levivitti?
It's a confusing last name. Levieva?
I remember her in that movie, but this is like time travel.
I know.
Vito, you still liking The Deuce?
Yeah, I really liked last night's episode.
Did everybody watch Curb last night?
I did, yeah.
You know, it's just it's so funny how they can just come back.
I know.
And pick it up. There's no growth in characters.
No.
No, nothing.
Like, if you like Curb, this is Curb.
Gives you your Curb fill.
What do you mean by that, Chris?
It's like if you're a fan of Curb Your Enthusiasm, this will fill you up because you haven't had a lot of Curb.
You don't think I said that well enough?
Fill that Curb.
It seems like
Yes.
that's his thing, is to, and I mean this as a compliment.
Oh, good.
Chris will re-give somebody else's opinion, but using their words. And no one else does that.
It's unique.
Yeah. Here's Ty in Vegas.
Oh, Ronnie, Bennington, how y'all doing this afternoon?
We're hanging in there, pal. How about you there in Vegas?
To be honest with you a little bit, brother, I'm starting to get scared now, man. It's not easy just kind of being out here and just kind of being a citizen of the earth now.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about something you were saying when they kind of ruled out terrorism and ISIS tried to claim responsibility for this and they couldn't find any connection. So how come it's not domestic terrorism when an angry white dude goes off and does this? And listen, my family's mixed. I love to death. I've been a proud open mic comic for 10 years. So I love the rowdy white dude.
Right.
But this is terrorism. They're trying to scare us with the white nationalism thing and the way that they're moving. And because he wasn't brown or from one of those scary countries, this wasn't terrorism?
I think that the reasoning behind not calling him a terrorist is that he didn't have a political agenda. He had a personal agenda, you know?
Doesn't that make it scarier?
Yeah, oh, yeah. Believe me, I work with a guy like that. Chris.
What?
You have anger issues, dude.
Oh, very much so. I blow up at things at any given moment.
And you're white as a motherfucker.
You are.
I'm incredible. I'm a cracker.
I mean, you can't even go outside.
Not good.
Is this the end then? Do we just kind of hunker down and wait for it to end?
What normally happens, you're going to have a process. You go through it. There's going to be candlelight things. There's going to be Vegas strong. Your mayor is going to go on TV and talk about how Vegas will persevere and everything is open for business. And you'll move on, and everybody else will move on, and then there'll be another shooting.
Another one.
In Minneapolis or San Jose or
yep. Tupelo, Mississippi strong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
and then
what
we'll
do.
be going, oh my God. And, you know, that Vegas thing wasn't even that long ago.
Right.
You know, like, I mean, I can hear us saying that now. It's that we just keep replaying this over and over. And it is really strange. I mean, I brought it up earlier, but, you know, of course, the late night shows will address it before they begin, all the late night comedy talk shows. And it's weird. I'm like, oh, we have a thing in place now where it's like, this is how we all behave when a mass shooting or a tragedy occurs. It's like we've become like, oh, this is what we do because we do it so often.
Yeah, we do it by the book.
Country I feel like the country is getting numb to tragedy porn now. I mean,
I'm numb to it. I am not.
3 earthquakes.
Yeah.
We had 5 shootings last year. Hurricanes. You know,
Right.
I've hit the road a little bit. You know, trying to make people laugh, and like it's just a thing that you talk about now. You know, you make a couple of really dark jokes about it, and everybody laughs, and you move on because they know, it's just happenstance. It happens all the time.
But even when we don't have important things to divide us, we will find stupid things to divide us. I mean, I'm amazed how mad people got over statues. I'm amazed how mad people got over taking a knee. I brought this up the other night with Bonnie McFarlane. This farm to table, I want something happen in between farm and table. I don't feel good about straight farm to table because Rich has got some kind of stomach problem. Which, you know, he heroes through. No, I mean, he's really just talks about it all the time. And they believed it could have been a farm to table thing. I think you need something to happen.
Right. You need a process.
You know
of
what?
some
Forget
nature.
the table. I'll just go out and eat in the farm like I'm an animal, right?
Good, yeah.
Let a fucking deer go farm to table. Not me. I want something happening.
Can't you blast this with some sort of chemical, package this up
Put
in
it
some
in a
way?
fucking can so it's safe. Then cook it, put it on the table. But why not just leave the roots on it? You know what I mean? I'll just fucking eat right through the root. And yes, I know that there's roots that we eat. Please stop the massive emails when I bring up that root is not a food. And I'm speaking to you, the future. Now, but like I said, I woke up at 4:30. Saw all this stuff and ended up going back to sleep. And I was numb to it. But I came in and I saw Jen today and I saw that send Jen in here because she broke my heart because she was on the edge of tears and this is what's so bad about the world right now. I'm like, Jen, what's wrong is if what the news wasn't enough to have her in this state.
Sure, of
You know what
course.
I mean? Because I'm like, oh, did something happen with your family? Is there something I should know about? Did Chris ask you to do something today? So you were just rocked to your core.
Yeah. It was like once I saw that it was more than, because I lived in Orlando for the longest time, and that to me was upsetting. So yeah, when I saw there was more people that died in this one than in Orlando, I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. But you're still young enough and good enough that things happen. You know what I mean? This is what's terrible about me. I've lived so long and I'm just like, yeah, this is another one of those shootings.
Which is also why we were talking about the shooter's age. It's like, isn't there a thing by a certain age, like no matter what gets thrown at you, you like to think that you're like, hey, I've seen it all. I'm going to roll with this punch.
I'm so close to giving up no matter what happens. I just like, oh, it doesn't matter to me. You know what I mean? That's where I want to finally get, you know? I'm not, look, am I nervous about farm to table? Yeah. Am I going to do anything about it? Absolutely not. And that's where I want to be. I want to be basically where nothing, happens that I'm going to care about. I mean, like 2 days before, Trump was threatening nuclear war with Rocket Man, and he said in a tweet, Tillerson, don't even talk to this guy. All the other presidents failed, but don't worry, I won't fail. Now, if you look back, he blamed Clinton, Bush, and Obama, that they failed. But the fact is, they just didn't get in a war during their 8 years. They each had 8 years. That's 24 years without a war. That could possibly be seen as success.
Sure.
He says it. So this had me going like, is he really going to do this? Now imagine, like, so here we had an old man climbing up high in this place and shooting down at people in Las Vegas, right? What if there was another old man who climbed up high and was shooting nukes at people? Hello, United States of America. The man in the high tower, all right? Vito, did this rock you to your core, or have you seen enough of it?
No, today was like when I saw, I didn't even want to watch any of the videos, but one just came up on my phone, and when I heard the gunshots, the ones that like didn't sound real, it was just such a weird. And then like there was one video where you heard somebody scream, like "Where's that fucker?" and then somebody else starts screaming, "Somebody's hit," and it's just like it's what you said before, like festivals and everything. Like
all of us, we're all people that love concerts. Every one of us, except for Chris. He only goes to Fish, and even then, it sounds like a lie.
Yeah,
because he hasn't gone to Fish since I've known him.
It's been a long time since I've been.
And I've known him for a decade.
Yeah,
and yet he acts like I go to every Fish show. Hasn't been to one since I've known him.
But yeah, I thought, like you said, I thought about Montreal too. It's just like if you
it's a city of festivals like Vegas.
Yeah, I thought about that right away, and also to what Vito said, it is hard. Like, if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to let this in to a certain extent, right? Like you're going to say, I'm going to read the story. I'm going to get the updates. I'm going to discuss it. I'm not going to ignore it as an issue, but I'd rather not see video or photos of carnage.
Yeah.
And I know that at this point, I have not watched any video. It will happen. It will come on the news. It will be in a video. It'll just start playing and you will see it. It's weird because you cannot turn away from things like in this day and age. There's going to be a circumstance where this is playing everywhere right now. There's not really any way to ignore.
Well, Vegas is, like I said, always a young people's town too. People have a tendency to think of it as Frank Sinatra, but most of the big shows in Vegas are electronic dance, and those those guys draw at every club and outdoor festival. If you look into this crowd, it's a young country festival. This isn't any of the classic country guys. The town, the people that work there are always young people. I was on my way to moving to Vegas right when I met Gail's mom and ended up staying in Florida because my buddy Rap was working as a dealer out there, and then there was like 3 or 4 other people from my high school, and this was only like a couple years after high school for me. He's like, yeah, come out, man. There's like 1 million jobs. And he was explaining, he goes, you just hustle. And, you know, you could park cars and make big fat cash and all that. And I literally was heading out when, as a matter of fact, even when I started dating Gail's mom, we were talking about me going to Vegas. Like before we thought we were serious, she was like, yeah, when you go to Vegas, you'll be able to do this and that. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. Keep telling me good shit about myself. You know, this is a first for me. But so that town is always, I don't know why people always think of it like it's an old, you know, old school town. I don't think it's ever been. I think when Dean Martin and those guys were there, young people were going, you know, young couples or whatever. And I'm talking about people in their 20s. But it's always been like that. Let's go to Scott. Scott, what's up?
Hey, I think this guy, unless they find out he had some kind of agenda when they go through his house, which always is the case, why wouldn't he just go find like a Klan meeting or a drug gang or something like that and just blast those guys if he's going to kill himself anyway?
So you never you never see anybody who goes, you know what, before I die, I'm going to take out the whole cartel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I guess they're not.
That guy would be legendary and famous, and he'd leave a legacy, like a good one, not some nutcase thing.
Yeah, because he's not Batman. He's not. I think that these guys are mad at society itself. Right. I think they did not achieve what they think they should. Like the guy who called earlier, the Pip Duck, was so mad about. You could hear some seething anger with him. Yeah. And I found it fascinating. And I found it really interesting to hear him being so honest about being angry. And I think a lot of people are angry in this country, and they're taxi driver angry. And to be angry, you've had to have expected something else to happen. At one point, you were pretty wide open that life is going to be good. Oh, I got ripped off, so I'm going to fucking take everybody down. Mark in Canada.
Hey, Ronnie.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, you know, as outsiders watching you guys, and I don't mean to phrase it like that, but I mean, you're such a great nation. You guys have so much going for you, but this one subject, man, you guys dropped the ball at. I don't get it. Like, you know, you guys had 9/11. The next day, there's restrictions on who gets on planes. There's heightened security. But all of the mass shootings, no one ever talks about. I mean, they talk about gun control, but there's no action done about it. I mean, and all this talk today, I mean, it's gonna happen again in the next shooting and the next shooting, and but it's gun control. I mean, it's a simple answer.
Here's the thing: the first two amendments that we have are so important to Americans. The First Amendment, the freedom to express yourself, the right to speech, very, very important. People go to the mat for it. The Second Amendment, incredibly important to people. There is no doubt that those two amendments are some of the keys to the psyche of the United States of America. And I think the right to free speech is because we think that what we say is important. What we think of who we are, each of us, people think of themselves as important. Even if they think I'm not doing an important work, I'm not after important goals, I'm not in an important relationship, but people think of themselves as incredibly important. And then the Second Amendment is to protect this thing that we are as an individual. We very rarely think it makes society safer, but we do believe it makes us ourselves safer. And we want guns to, we basically want guns to protect ourselves from everybody else, because we don't have a belief in our society. I personally see the kneeling thing of, if this is a great society, it can certainly withstand people kneeling or burning the flag. Those two things don't even offend me. It's offended a lot of people to the point of intense anger over the past week.
Mm-hmm.
The statue stuff, I've never looked up at a statue and thought, oh, thank God that statue is here. Or wouldn't this be a good place for a statue? I can't think of a person I'd say he should get a statue. I remember like when they gave the statue to Michael Jordan. I'm like, this doesn't seem that big a deal to me. I mean, you got your 6 fucking championships. Now you're getting him a statue? Not so good. But these are the shit that we fight about constantly. People are angry. People are angry online all the time. We're an angry fucking country. And, you know, to the going all the way back to the guy who acted like he came here to hear fucking comedy. I look around at all you guys on the show. I don't think anybody's up for fucking around today. And I could always put anything out in my personal... Shit happens in my personal life all the time that I don't fucking share. But this is all of our lives when you look at this. And when I came in and saw Jen with her little heart broke, I'm like, oh my God, I wonder what it's like to be that good of a person that you could be hurt. I look at Chris, no reflection out of him.
Nothing.
No. If anything, he's just thinking to himself, what can I get away with today? What's my latest hustle?
Thank you.
How do I keep Ron from finding out the truth? How do I make Vito's day worse?
It's like you're reading my mind.
You're the reason why I don't bring a gun in here. Because
it's good.
I would turn it on you, and guess what? I'd beat any jury out there. If anything, the people of the jury would probably go like this. What took you so long?
Wow. It's a harsh jury.
No. That's a jury of your peers. And I would say they could be relatives, but you have none.
Zero.
I probably. Mike in Atlanta, what's up?
Hey, just a thought about this. It's not so much the control of guns and people being able to get them; it's what they're getting. I mean, you're getting weapons that are designed specifically to kill people. That's for only one thing. I mean, just because I can buy firecrackers in Alabama doesn't mean I should be able to have nuclear weapons.
Well, here's the deal. I saw a comic the other night do the bit of, okay, so you should only be able to get the kind of guns that were available when the Second Amendment went down. And then people act like they haven't heard that joke before. And then he does the musket bit. Okay? But the fact is, people do want fucking guns.
Yep.
It's just true.
It's almost not worth bringing up because it's something that we've discussed so many times. Every time there is a tragedy, a shooting, and we're in the position of discussing it on this show. I remember I got heat from people who were upset about me saying, that these weapons are not the kind of weapons that you hunt with. I have gun owners in my family, people who hunt and have guns for sport. Right. And these are not the same things. It's not even worth bringing up because people want these guns. Just like you said, people want these guns. And that's the thing that always floors me is that somebody could be on the 32nd floor of a building and hit targets that does not seem like a citizen should be able to have access to something like that. It seems crazy that it's possible. And every time I express it, people there are people out there who get upset about it. That is what people want.
Mike in Canada. I like hearing from the Canadians today.
Me too.
Because they feel above us. Literally. Mike.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I've been listening to you guys talk about this all day, and I've been all the other times it's happened, and I think it's more people's mindset. You have to figure out a way down there to change them and try to find people, get them help before they even come to this point. Because no matter what, when they get to that point, they can do it. If they can't get a gun, they can get a case down there with a guy jump in a car and go down a crowd of people.
Dude, we're nuts. We're nuts. Look, how many people passed around stuff last week of people burning their own clothes to get even with ball players? There's nobody that said, hey. Well, first of all, the Colin Kaepernick thing. When people are going, what has he got to bitch about? His life is great. They don't realize that when you protest, right, it's really not about for you. It would be really weird if Colin Kaepernick said, I'm kneeling down because I was put on waivers. So fuck this country.
Right.
That would be insane.
Right.
Or we're going to the running game way too much. I'm kneeling down during the national anthem. That would be insane. He was trying to bring attention. But all right, let's look at this. We've got 3 news channels on, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are 3. This is CNN, Fox, and MSNBC. And we keep them on all the time here. There's never a show that goes in deep and talks about the opioid crisis. Never one. There are only people who come on and yell about one side or the other. There's never a slow, long series about what can we do about gun violence. And the reason why is there's no fucking numbers in that. They won't get enough eyeballs. There's more people that will watch Rachel Maddow running clips about Sean Hannity and what a dick he is, and people who will watch Sean Hannity running clips of Rachel Maddow and what a wacko fucking bitch she is, then we'll sit down and look at this stuff. We don't do it. We can point all we want to, but it's fucking us. We're not doing the job of carrying the torch of a great nation. Period. We stink. We should start there. We fucking stink on ice. You could put our country, our citizens on ice right now, and they would still stink. The country would still stink. And you're like, should there be more ice? There's not enough ice because these selfish, greedy, lazy motherfuckers aren't doing the work. And no one's going to come back and call you the greatest generation. And I'll tell you something else. And this I'm just becoming aware of. They say that the children are the future, right? So we got to give them stuff.
Yeah.
No, they got the future. I don't. This is Ronnie B's time, okay? Children can wait on the fucking bench. All right. You know what? I shouldn't even have brought that up. It went against my other part. Andrew in New Orleans. Andrew.
Hey, guys. What's going on today?
Is there a glitch in the Matrix? Because I keep seeing Zito go by, I just walking the same way with the same expression.
I don't know what's going on.
There's a glitch in the Matrix right now. Andrew in New Orleans, what can we do for you, buddy?
Nothing much, man. Look, I just wanted to say thanks for your recognition a second ago. I was in the Marine Corps for about 8 years. I did a combat tour in Afghanistan in 2001. I did 2 in Iraq, 1 in 2003 and 1 in 2004. My dad was a law enforcement officer for 30 years. And, dude, you're absolutely correct, man. I mean, every time I stepped out, I was scared out of my fucking mind. Every time my dad suited up and stepped in his patrol car, he knew that could be his last day on earth. But we still did it because that's the job, you know. But that's what separates the people that step up from the people that can't step up. You know, when you got to step up, what you do is you just say, I'm the best trained that I can be, and the people that are behind me are the best trained that they can fucking be. You know, you don't sit there and pussy out and go, shit, somebody's shooting. I think I'm going to go get a coffee somewhere. I'm going to go sit back and get a latte and have this cigarette. You guys go check that shit out. I'm going to chill. You know, so thanks for recognizing that, you know, it is not an easy job.
All right, Andrew, take care of yourself, my friend. Here's Jill in New York.
Hey, guys. That guy, Dan, like, Blitzarian or whatever the hell his name is. Yeah, so he's, like, kind of Instagram famous for something. He was there last night, and he did an Insta story, and he was like, I was right next to a girl who got her head blown off, and you could like see the shock in his eyes. But this is a man whose Instagram is literally filled with him shooting like automatic weapons, like for fun with girls in bikinis and like glamorizing them and glorifying them. And you could tell that like seeing that happen was so shocking to him. And it's like, this is someone who's completely comfortable with guns.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this, what went on was straight horror last night, straight horror. And, I mean, another part of this is the other day I'm walking down the street, I bump into Jill there. And now I know exactly where she lives. So I'm not saying I will stalk. I'm saying I can stalk. And like, here's what she did. She even tried to like walk past her building and then double back. No, that didn't happen. That would have been a smart idea. Oh, by the way, she lives very close to a famous artist.
Really?
Yeah, probably the most famous artist today, known for his, and I'm not going to give it away because I don't want anybody to know where she lives, but known for his giant balloon animal statues. By the way, you guys, and I know everybody here except for Chris loves art.
No.
I just found out something is coming in November. I've always wanted to see the David Hockney swimming pool paintings with my eyes, and that is coming. And I don't think it's been here, I don't know, maybe ever in New York City. And I felt like I could fucking pass out. I was so excited.
Oh, that's awesome.
I don't know why. Those things have haunted me since I was a kid.
Yeah, they're really, really striking.
You're absolutely right. They're haunting.
Yeah.
Like you want to be them. And like, if you had millions of dollars, you want to have it on your wall and stare at it all the time.
I just think that the painting itself, it looks like marijuana and rum and laziness while Steely Dan is playing. Like it is that I've got enough money to live completely decadent. I think that one there, this has always been my favorite. I think the splash one. And I don't know why. I could not tell you why. And yes, I want to live that kind of gated off.
Yeah, isolated, but in your own weird.
But high as fuck, probably on Oxy or some other pill, or maybe a speedball. Yeah, something like not just straight heroin, but a little speedball. So you got a little, you're awake, but you're still high, and you're like, oh, did I fucking spill my drink? I don't know what it is. You know what I mean? It's like getting, and it just seems like the kind of pools that you could get blown in without it being a big deal.
Yeah, no one's around. Like you don't see neighbors' houses in these paintings.
Right. But there's also a thing of, you know what? I've deserved this somehow. I don't know why. So I mean, I can't wait for that, and I plan on seeing this multiple times.
Where is it going to be?
Right there in your neighborhood. I don't want to say the major place that's up the street from you. Okay,
there's a couple, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I think it's going to be here for Chris. Do not scratch your crotch.
I'm not going to say this, but I saw him doing it earlier when we were talking about some heavy things. And then I made eye contact with him because I saw, hold on, let me just say, we were having a very serious moment. I made eye contact with him. You're saying some pretty heavy things. And I look at him and I give him concerned eyebrows, like, is everything okay? And then he just mouths to me, my penis. And I look at him like,
have to use the
are you serious, dude? This is so strange.
I'm going to call
my penis, he says.
I'm going to call Pit Doc or Dr. Steve and ask him what you do about Costa Rican crotch ticks.
It's just urine.
No, it isn't. You're scratching.
No, you're scratching
where
it.
the Costa Rican crotch ticks go.
If you had to pee, you would have mouth, I have to pee. But you said, my penis.
Because it hurts.
Did he really say my penis?
He went, I looked at him like, is everything okay? He knew just by eyebrows. I went like, are you okay?
Guess what?
And he's like, my penis.
You're not peeing until this show's over. The way you acted. Jill, I'm going to stop by on my way home today because I know exactly where you live.
Okay.
By the way, I will say this, and I used to go like this. What do you do for food? There's no supermarket near her. It's even pretty far to a restaurant.
Yeah. They're
Yeah.
kind of isolated there.
It's very isolating, and everything takes 20, 30 minutes to get anything. But hey, it's worth it for other things.
Yeah,
I
you got
suppose.
beautiful views, right?
Beautiful views. We have a big old terrace that faces south, so I got to watch, the big Zeckendorf building get built, the one on not the 432 Park, the one next to it.
That's
so
pretty cool.
Wow.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
I live in
Yeah.
David Hockney's backyard in my mind. All right, sweetie. Talk to you later.
All right, bye, guys.
Gail, you were telling me today something about Dish and how much you enjoy it.
Don't you wish you could watch your favorite primetime TV shows without commercial interruptions? Dish has got you covered. Now with AutoHop from Dish, you can watch shows recorded with primetime anytime commercial free. Watch the most popular shows on your favorite networks without wasting time sitting through commercials. The season finale of your favorite show just got better with AutoHop from Dish. No more waiting through long TV commercial breaks just to get back to enjoying the action, because only Dish is tuned in to you. To learn more, call 1-844-CALL-DISH, go to dish.com, or visit a local retailer near you. Requires credit qualification, 24-month commitment, early termination fee, and e-autopay. Taxes and surcharges not included. Other restrictions apply. For full details, 1-844-CALL-DISH. Dish, tuned in to you.
It's the Bennington Show. 844 Rock God, 844 Rock Gods. We're doing the Dana Gould Unmasked this Friday. Chris, have you shut down ticketing, or people can still get in?
People can still get in. That's happening this Friday, October 6th at 4 p.m. at the SiriusXM studios. You go to the ibang.com for a chance at free tickets. That's Dana Gould Unmasked.
And Dana Gould, of course, for years was a writer, besides being a great comic, a writer and producer of The Simpsons Show, and now has that show on IFC.
Stand Against Evil.
Yes, Chris, Stand Against Evil. Why would he jump in when I'm
He
in the
does
middle?
it to me all the time.
Okay.
He does it to me all the time. Don't take it personally. Like, that's just his way.
Rhonda in Arkansas, how are you?
Wonderful, thank you.
Good. What can we do for you, darling?
I just wanted to say, with everything that's going on in the country, North Korea, Vegas, kneeling, statues, everything, we need more prayer warriors. We need to quit fighting each other, and we need more prayer warriors for the country itself.
See, the thing that, can I just say, Rhonda, what's scared? A prayer warrior to me sounds like ISIS.
Oh, no, that's not, no. Jesus, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, did not mean that. No,
Okay,
I
good.
mean, we need more Christian prayer warriors.
Oh, Christian,
We need our
okay.
faith back.
Okay,
we need
good.
our faith back. We need our faith strengthened.
Yeah.
And we need more people in this country on their knees,
But
going
that's
to
what
the
everybody was
Father.
getting mad about, like during the anthem.
Well, I didn't say do it in the anthem.
Oh, okay. So on your knees.
Do it at church. Do
Okay,
it
good.
in your bedroom in
Yeah.
the morning. Do it whatever. Don't necessarily think the football field is the place for it.
Yeah, that's not a
but
place for God.
And you don't have to, stand. Just
Stand
just
and pray. Stand and kneel.
Stand
now, Rhonda,
for the country and pray.
By the way, my guy here, Chris, is an atheist. But
I'm sorry.
Where does your faith come from, Rhonda? Where do you get faith? Where could somebody like Chris find faith?
Honestly, I was raised with it in my life minimally.
Yeah.
But as an adult, I had in my late 20s, some pretty horrible things happened to my life.
Right.
And I went to church with my parents to make them happy, and it touched a place in my heart. And then I started to recognize what works that God was doing in my life. You
got some gratitude
when
about
things
you.
were horrible. I
Yeah.
could actually recognize events where he intervened on my behalf. And it had to be him because there was no other way. And by seeing those happen in my own life and being able to recognize them, it drew me closer to him. and I have a daily relationship, and it just when you see it act in your own life, there's no denying it.
All right. Thank you so much. And hopefully you've made an impact on Chris today. Chris, you don't believe it all?
No.
Can I just tell you, I know you didn't see 60 Minutes last night.
I did not.
The Hubble telescope stuff. This universe is so massive, and we see places where stars are born in the universe now. Within, I think, the next 4 or 5 years, we're going to have a new telescope out that we're going to be able to somehow, I don't know how this happens because of light or something, but see the earliest galaxies that were created right after the Big Bang. I found it the most mind-blowing thing that I ever saw before.
That's
You
insane.
know?
That's really crazy to think
It's
of.
unbelievable. Please, if you can find this online, it's the Hubble telescope. Space is just unbelievable. And the weirdest thing is, this is going to weird you right now, Jen. You ready for this? You are in space. You're not. It's not out there.
No.
You're in it.
Can't be. I'm
You're
here.
part of somebody else is looking at us going, wow, that fucking planet is blue as shit, man. What do you think it's from? You think all the people are blue? No, dude. It's our atmosphere. It's our fucking ocean. You're the blue one. You're the blue meanie. And that's fucking Vito. Remember that day that Vito thought that if you went up the steps, you were going into the sky and we were going to have to beat him with sticks?
Yeah.
If he could see the Hubble telescope, he could see how stupid and Italian that he is.
So Italian. More Italian than stupid.
Hey, did your mom hear you talking about her the other day, Vito?
Yeah, she cried a bunch. She's really happy.
Oh, she was upset?
She's
mad at you?
She's very happy with it, and she
Oh.
wants to thank both of you very much for allowing that to happen.
No,
Chris, you've done
because
nothing.
you tried to ruin her birthday.
Yeah, you tried to be mean to her son on her birthday. So why would she
Someone
be thankful?
has to be.
But you love your mom, and you know what? I'm proud of you for saying that because I
very
love
sweet.
my mom.
I love my mom. I love moms.
Yeah, all moms. You love milfs, is what you.
No, I love.
Okay, that's different, Vito.
I love the concept of motherhood.
Is it because your mom was so bad as a mom or good as a
No,
mom?
my mom was a great mom.
Oh, so you treated her really nice.
I treated her nice 90% of the time.
Okay, that's good. That's a lot better than. I would say this: I treated my mom great to her face, but I didn't have it in me to do any of the things I promised. I just didn't have it in me, or I chose not to. And I'm going to take Colin Quinn and just said, no, I chose not to do it. He is right. He is right about that. Speaking of Colin Quinn, there's a lot of people were abuzz about this week, and he was doing his show in Toronto, and our old intern Justin reviewed some shows in Toronto, Colin Quinn show, Andy Kindler, and more. He was running all around Toronto at the comedy festival.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right, you know that word that that Don always uses, where it's like instead of putting up a sign, he has the thing.
So it's a
You're
bolo?
something like that.
What is it?
It's like when you take a light and shine the name up on it, and Don will use the word all the time, and it's like to blow.
It starts with B, bolo, or
It's gobo.
Gobo.
Gobo. Yeah, I have heard him say that, and that's one of those things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, when people are saying something, and then everyone else seems to know what it is, and then you just go, you should.
I
do
only
that.
know because
That's
it's
usually-
done.
Yeah.
I only know it's done. He tried to do it right there on the wall. That was
Yeah.
going to be a gobo of our show.
The gobo was too loud,
and it was too loud. Well, I saw a comedian over the weekend, and his shirt looked like it had a gobo on it. Because it was of a comedy club thing.
Sure.
Yeah. And it looked like it was just being put up there in the shadows. And I don't want to say who it was, but because it was Tim Dillon, made it even funnier. And then someone said, Tim, didn't you just wear that sweatshirt 2 nights ago? Yeah. I did. I'm not big on laundry. And then he was making this case. Anyone who thinks they cook as good at home as they do it as a restaurant is full of shit. Anyone who says they can't wait to get home so they can make their Blue Apron instead of going out and having a great meal at and he's adamant about everything. And he loves food. I don't know whether you follow him on Instagram, but you will see all of his food.
Yeah, he puts
everything.
And I actually
look at this butter. I got it right here on a pad. It's a pad of butter. Rod, please come to Quality Italian with me. Would you just make that? Look, there's the shirt. There it is. There's the sweatshirt. The Comedy Works shirt. And he's wearing it twice in 2 different pictures. And look, doesn't that look like a gobo?
It does look like a gobo.
That's a gobo.
He's a handsome guy, by the way.
He is a handsome guy.
Yeah. And he, by the way, give me this pen.
Mm-hmm.
There is a comedian, and I want everybody here to swear that they won't bring it up, because I believe that this person is gay and doesn't know it.
Okay.
Okay?
I'm wondering, because,
there is nothing about this person's persona that is effeminate. But you could also say that about Tim Dillon. You know what I mean?
100%.
All right, I'm just going to show you this comedian's name. No one remark upon it.
I will not say.
This person would be crushed.
I swear.
Do you need first and last, or just the last?
No, I'll know the last name. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now,
Interesting.
Vito, you don't get this at all because you can't be trusted
at all.
And I want to just remark that he is blacking out the letters right now.
I'm going to burn that
He
paper
is
later.
scratching them out
Kaepernick
just in case somebody might fish it out of the garbage during the break.
Burn it and burn everything that there is in this building.
I got a lighter, Rod.
Yeah.
Prepared.
Jenny in Mississippi.
Hey, how are y'all?
Good, darling. What can we do for you?
Okay, so the Las Vegas shooter, I had an idea. What if he did this just to draw attention to the need for gun control?
I don't give him that kind of pride.
Yeah, I mean, he'd have to be pretty dedicated to the event. And then it seems you would also
I understand that, but to point out that he wasn't, he didn't have any mental problems. He hadn't been in trouble with the law, just a normal guy. He bought all of that, his artillery illegally.
Yeah.
And the fact that it was a country concert, I mean, you can assume that many of the people there strongly believe in their right to bear arms and have their guns.
Yeah. No, I get it. But I also don't think this is going to change any mind. I mean, Gail put it pretty well. This is just something that we do here. Ray in Virginia. Ray, what's up?
Hey guys, it's such an interesting conversation, right? There's so much there's so many different sides to consider, but I'm only about 5-6 years younger than you, Ronnie. So I remember the time when you know how they say you left the doors open, you left the keys in the car and stuff like that. And you talk about your dad working his whole life. People worked in factories, hated their life, hated their jobs. They knew that what they had was a family. I don't know where we've gone. You said we stink. I would agree. We're at the mercy of people's imagination now, because before yesterday you would never think that somebody's going to bust open the 32nd floor of a hotel with a gun and shoot 300 rounds into a crowd. Like we've turned into something, and the toothpaste is out of the tube. Now you can't go back ever. You can never go back. We don't even hear about the 2-3 multiple shootings, mass shootings after 3 people are killed or whatever they call it, a mass shooting. Look, we don't hear about them. They happen every week now.
But here's the deal. And Penn Jillette brought this to my attention. There's less shootings now than ever before. That this is a safer time than ever before. And these things happen and they freak us out, but they're an anomaly. They're not the norm. I mean, even in terms of, let's think of how many concerts or how many gatherings there was yesterday. We know for a fact 32 teams had fucking home games. You know what I mean? We know for a fact that there were parades and concerts everywhere, and it happened at one spot. But I, for one, wasn't surprised by a mass shooting. I wasn't. I do think there's an intense anger in this country. And I would like us to, instead of worrying whether or not somebody else respects the national anthem, I'd like to see us all try to build a country that people would be forced to respect. You know what I mean? And do that all the time. Going back to the other woman who said maybe this guy did this just to bring attention to it, that would be like telling Chris that he only rapes to bring attention to rape.
Yeah,
Instead
and we
of
know
what
that's
you really
not true.
do for your own thing.
I'm not a rapist.
I'm going to ask you today because I have a feeling that it happened.
Yeah.
Did your girlfriend break up with you?
No, she never.
It's the only way that you'll tell me is if I ask you point
Yep.
blank.
You have to
I
ask
saw-
him every question every day.
I saw Zito hanging around, and I know you only do that when you're single.
That's it. Yeah.
Did you introduce your girlfriend to your old buddies over there?
No, I have not yet. No.
And yet you used them to hang out with all during the time that you were
the dark time,
persona non grata.
The dark, non-smoking, non-drinking time for the most part. No, but you know what? They
You
don't
must
come
have
to
been so
Brooklyn.
much fun.
Oh God, it's just a fucking joy.
But they were ecstatic to have him. You know what I mean? Like they had
Yes.
never had anybody as cool as Chris. I mean, he seriously,
He's a
he
cool
was their
guy.
Fonzie, and he knew it. Phil in Toronto. Phil,
Hey guys, how you doing?
Good.
You know what? You just had a guy on there that talked about the fact that we couldn't imagine this in our consciousness, and America's evil, and the toothpaste is out of the tube. Let's be honest about it. I mean, we got shows on the air like Mr. Mercedes, which is all about mass murder. We got Sniper on the air, which is all about angles and expectations of trajectory. I mean, we're writing a playbook on how to do this for the average guy sitting in his living room.
well, I will say this: we do think of it as an option. You know what I mean? Like the fact of the matter is, there's less fistfights and more shootings. At one point, and I brought this up before, somehow we got to the point where we thought if our feelings are hurt, we have to do something to come back on people. I think that we all think that we're very fucking precious. That's my own belief.
Yeah.
I think that we all think that we're the most. Who you texting during the show?
I'm just texting the other room.
Give me your phone. I'm going to break it.
I'll just.
I'm trying to do something, and I
He's
see
got
like a
something.
guy a foot from me. It's like I don't give a fuck. And he's talking again. I have to talk, Chris. That's my job. I'd love to sit and text all throughout the show. I can't. You know, we're doing the big Thanksgiving show, right?
Yes, we are.
You're not coming.
Well, why not? Please.
You were texting.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like it, come back here later and shoot me.
I would not do that.
Good. Then I'm going to bully you.
Shit.
Good. I'm going to use my position to bully you.
Now that you know you're going to be safe.
You know what I'm going to do, Chris?
What's that?
I'm going to take pictures of your penis and tweet them out. It's the only way you'll learn. It's the only way you're going to learn.
I'm going to go ahead and hit share on this one.
Here is Sarah in St. Louis. Sarah.
Hey, Ronnie, hold on, let me take you. Okay, I just wanted to point out that he didn't snap because he booked the hotel room a couple months in advance, and he booked it under his companion's name. The only reason they were able to find the hotel room, like when they were going in to find him shooting, was because all the smoke from the gun, like the ammunition was
Yes.
like setting off the fire alarms. But it wasn't like he just woke up yesterday and was like, I'm going to go shoot some people. He planned this shit out.
All right, so you're saying it's not a snap like an anger snap, but it's got to be a snap from reality. Look, this is an insane act. It's insane to think I'm going to book my place in advance.
Yeah.
I'm going to get these weapons. I'm going to set it up. I'm going to shoot. And then when they come to get me, I'm going to shoot myself in the head.
Right.
That's fucking insanity.
100%. I mean, it's premeditated, obviously.
Right. But you can be premeditated and insane.
Right. Exactly. That you have to have undone yourself from what the rest of us would think is normal behavior, that you have gotten to a place in your mind that you could sit there and plan out. I mean, you mentioned earlier that I think everyone can kind of, whether like depending on the activity, everyone has said, "Oh my God, I've said something or done something out of the emotion of the moment," and this is still a madness. This is still a madness, even though it is very premeditated.
Did we lose her?
Yes.
I hate when there's a fall off.
I still wanted to talk.
I dug her. At some point, like they say that the only way that there's the defense of insanity is that if you don't know cause and effect, right? So it's like if I stabbed Chris in the neck but didn't even realize that was a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm insane. So I'm just stabbing,
Yeah.
but I don't know that kills him. Oh, Ron's insane. Okay, good. But if I'm like, if I stab Chris, right?
Yeah.
Then I'll become king of Marvin Gardens, and everybody will like me. Then I'm not insane. You know what I'm saying? Like I know I'm wrong just to stab Chris, but I think that I'll end up playing the part of Elvis in a new movie, a new biopic. That wouldn't be considered insane. That's the way it was explained to me, right down to the Chris part, by a lawyer. And this lawyer had attended law school, okay, and then passed the bar. And I said like this, well, I couldn't be a lawyer because I've never passed the bar. And I took my elbow and just started putting in his ribs like that.
Do you like
He's
that?
like, well, he said this. He goes, I get it. You don't need to poke me in the ribs. I thought that was only a cliche. Let's go to Brian in San Francisco. Brian, go ahead.
Morning, Bennington Show.
Hey, good morning to you.
And long-time listener,
Thank
first
you.
time getting through.
Good.
I was noticing that no one has mentioned something.
Yes.
Back in 2013, the state of Nevada actually changed their statutes of what's considered terrorism. If you do any type of violence and that assaults a group, is considered terrorism now. You no longer need to have an ideology. It no longer has to be political, religious. As long as you go after any state resource, any group of bodies of people, or any form of bodily harm that affects multiple people, the state of Nevada says it's terrorism.
I hadn't heard that. Thanks so much for calling in with that, Brian. Randy in Philly.
What's going on, Bennington?
Hey, what's going on?
Man, it's a real bummer what happened out there in Las Vegas.
Sure is.
Kind of makes me just want to get high.
All right. You go and do that, Randy. You go and get yourself nice and high, okay? This is
shoot some snack, man.
Yeah. Make this a Randy day, all right?
We all have coping mechanisms.
Yeah. Like, Chris is, and I was telling this to Don the other day, Chris has been taking a lot of unexplained time off, enough that he could be fired for.
Why would you tell this to Don? Why would you tell this to Don?
We're trying to come up with ways we can get you out of here.
That's a conversation you guys have.
Dude, wouldn't you rather to hear it from me?
I guess, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense, yeah.
Like I said to Don in HR. Aren't you glad you're hearing this from me?
HR's involved as well.
Yes, everybody's involved.
Oh, fuck.
Jack's involved.
What? Didn't know this.
Paul's involved. Everybody's involved.
Didn't know this went so high up.
It's fucking tough to get somebody like you out of here. You're a fucking endling.
Oh,
you know what I mean? You're the last of its kind.
That's it. Just me.
I'm going to tell you something right now, too. I think if you really want to gauge a country, you should gauge it by road rage. And some of the nicest people I know say fucking horrible things about other people on the road. Road rage should just be called rage.
I had a girlfriend who, in college, who would get very slurry on the road.
Oh.
It was not good. It was weird.
Oh, you mean racial slur?
Yeah, racial slur.
I thought there was the dope kicked in.
I'm so mad about this. So she would use racial slurs that you never heard her use in regular conversation on the road, and then you'd be like, whoa, that's something that's been dormant in there for a while.
I think I might have brought this up before, but why are people even angry in stores now? They fucking lose their shit.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of Jewish women in my neighborhood, and if any store that I'm in, we get online. A Jewish woman will turn around to me and go like this, "Do you believe this?" And I go, "That there's a line?" "Yeah." I go, "I've never been in a store without a line in my life. I don't understand why you thought you were going to just walk up to the register like it was 4:00 in the morning. But literally, I can't be in a line without somebody looking at me like, oh, this girl checking." I'm like, she's checking people out. We're in a fucking grocery store. It's a one price grocery after another. Then it has to be bagged. I expect this. Yeah, I get that it's an uncomfortable moment. But there's no way around this right now other than, do you want your groceries delivered?
But that is also the thing of people's worldview being just right there on themselves. They have a spotlight upon themselves.
Right.
And I'm only thinking of this specific example because you were talking about in a line. This, I believe, was last Halloween. I'm in a line at a store. It's the night of Halloween. There's a huge line in like a CVS, right? Yes. And this woman comes walking up. There's got to be 15 people in this line. And she comes walking up and she goes, "Excuse me, I'm just asking, can I please cut the line? I have candy for kids and I've run out. And this is for the kids." And everyone is just staring at her. Most of us holding bags of our own candy for children. And everyone's just blinking. And she's like, "Are you serious? This is for kids." I'm like, there are people standing here with holding medications. You know what I mean? Everyone, there's a little woman behind me holding 2 boxes of tampons. You don't know what anybody's doing.
Right, everybody.
Why do you think your own personal emergency is that important? I literally was standing there with 2 bags of candies, just like being like, what? We're all buying candy for children right now. All of us are buying candy for children.
Lady, do what I do on Halloween. Turn off the lights and lay on the floor.
And she shook the bag at us and said, "This is for the kids."
I hate that lady.
I mean, I think about her all the time. Like, she's like, oh, my own personal life is number one all the time. She couldn't imagine why anybody else was in a rush. Every single person did not plan to stand in this line for 30 minutes. That wasn't on anybody's want for the day.
And that's all because, we are the one. Whoever we are, we're the one. We're the special fucking flower that deserves everything to go great all the time. And by the way, everyone else is an asshole but you. I'm just going to work to you personally. Okay? You're the best. You should be able to cut any fucking line on the road that you want. You should be able to zig in and out of traffic, giving people's moms the finger, as you call them, cunts, or any kind of racial slur that involves you. You should get the best of everything. You should go right in and get the best table at every restaurant. You should be able to do whatever you want. You know what I mean? You're the best ever. Everybody's great. And if it doesn't go your way, climb up to the 32nd fucking floor and start fucking shooting strangers who are enjoying themselves. People that were at a concert of people that they love. This is the thing. Like, this isn't necessarily these acts that were on is not my kind of music, but I totally relate to buying that ticket to go to this festival to see band after band and feel that joy, and you're dancing around with your friends, and to have someone decided that's the place that they're going to commit a mass fucking murder.
It's heartbreaking.
It's
to
heartbreaking.
Think of. That was another thing. Is not only was I thinking about Montreal because of where our hotel looks down on this, but that we were out there just this last year and just watching a show together, loving life and having fun and laughing, and same as any of these shootings is when they're targeting concerts and people who are just living. They're doing the thing that makes life worth living, music and being there with your friends or your family, or just being in the moment, being outside and just feeling a part of a community in great weather. I mean, like those things that are the best that we've got, the best things that we have.
Dude, every time that the plane touches down in Vegas, I always think I'm going to win a lot of money, and I'm going to have a lot of fun, and I'm going to sleep with a lot of prostitutes, and everything's going to go my way. It's the best feeling getting. The two best feelings you have in Vegas: landing and taking off.
Yeah, that's
those
true.
Are the two.
That's very true.
Because, like, I'm here, so excited, and when those fucking wheels go up and you're leaving, and you're like, I'm getting out of this town.
I've only been there the one time, but when I got there, I remember just thinking like, this is some sort of a dream. This is like Neverland or something. It doesn't even seem real. It literally is this desert oasis, like blackness all around it, and it's just like explodes. And, light and life and
there's money. It's literally, it's a small world for cokeheads. It's the only place that people that have these nice restaurants. Everyone's like, I'm too gacked up to eat right now.
You can have all the crab legs you could ever want.
Well, when people bring up sushi there, I'm like, we're so far away from any kind of an ocean. I don't know if I feel good about it. AC, what's up, buddy?
Hey, you guys. I just wanted to make the point that this is kind of an inevitable trajectory for our country, because we have always prioritized industry and individual liberty over what's good for everyone. So welfare always suffers, and you see this with firearms, you see this with pharmaceuticals, the way that healthcare is handled, mental health. I mean, all the food, all those things you look at, our laws and the way that our laws are enforced don't seem to be for the welfare of the general population.
No, we are set up that this is supposed to be for the individual. The great lone guy. You know,
and industry.
Yeah.
On top of that, I mean, the dollar. It's you don't feel anything. It's not until there's an issue with the stocks. There's not until there's an issue with profit loss that we actually start paying attention to things. And so that's what it's going to take. But when these type of events force people to spend money, we're never going to ever see any change, any real change.
It was very funny. I was in a conversation with a friend of mine who's from the Midwest, who, he was anti-union. I grew up thinking unions were a good thing because he goes, there's no reason that anybody should make $40 an hour on the line. And I go, you say that, but you don't care about the guy at the top making $100 million, $100 million in a year that he laid off other people. This is, we go out of our way to protect the 1%. It's the one fucking thing that we love, because somehow we think we're going to get there.
100%,
Vito thinks in the back of his mind, one day I'll be running a Fortune 500 country. I'm like, Vito, you can't even run your own fucking checking account. They're not going to let you in, man. You're as Italian can be, Do you know that there's never been an Italian CEO in the history of this country? There's never been an Italian senator or congressman. Never. They never got one of those things, Vito. You know what you're good at? Organized crime. You're fucking the best at that. You know why?
Why do you do that?
Why?
You have zero empathy for the human condition. All right. Thanks so much, AC. Chris,
Thank
you want
you,
to
guys.
read this right now?
Yes, please. We're going to take a quick break after that.
Again with another break with you.
A quick break.
Hey, college football fans, look, you probably got some crazy rituals. Maybe you cook your famous ribs at every tailgate. Or maybe you're more of a never wash my socks kind of guy. Maybe it's worked so far, but imagine your ritual taking your ritual to the next level with Dish. Upgrade from listening to pregame broadcasts on your car's AM radio to watching them on an HD TV with Dish.
Just imagine how well your offense could play once you make pregame highlights and interviews on HD TV, your new tailgate ritual. Visit dish-tailgate.com and get Dish and the Playmaker antenna today. The Playmaker sets up in just minutes in the parking lot and doesn't need a Wi-Fi connection.
Best of all, with Dish pay-as-you-go programming, you only pay during the months you use. And in case you were wondering, no, you don't need a Dish service at your home to enjoy TV at your tailgate. Make HD TV from Dish a new tailgate ritual. Visit dish-tailgate.com today and get free shipping for a limited time. Restrictions apply. Hey, it's the Bennington Show. We were talking about Just for Laughs, Toronto. And our pal Justin was up there. And now he's called us. Justin, what's happening,
Justin.
buddy?
Hey, guys. I miss you.
Oh, we miss you, too.
Yeah, so does Liza, actually. She purposely made a point to say she misses you guys.
Well, you guys are invited to our Thanksgiving show if you want to come down for it. I know it's a long haul, though, but it's going to be held.
Dude, I'm definitely going to make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's Thanksgiving without an Indian, right?
Yeah, that's true. Without it, we gotta have one there. Hey, so how was Toronto? Great.
Oh, dude, it was unbelievable, man. Like, yeah, I'd say my top three favorite were Bill Burr, Colin Quinn, and Tom Segura, man. Like, they just brought the houses down wherever they went. You know, it's just like, I heard people who, you know, aren't huge comedy fans just like absolutely blown away, you know, just introduced to a whole new level of comedy.
Well,
that's awesome to hear.
Each one of those guys has gone next level. There's no doubt about that.
Oh, yeah.
But you see any of the younger guys? There's some.
Oh, yeah.
Lisa
Traeger. Yeah, she impressed me the most out of like everyone. It was, yeah, she brought down the house everywhere. She, you know, like yeah, she opened for Tom Segura and she had no problem controlling a crowd that big. And like she had them on her side right away.
Love hearing that because
Yes.
I love her so much.
She's so great.
Yeah, it turns out she got fingered at a Bedouin Sound Clash concert when she was 19 in Toronto.
Yeah, so it brings back some memories for her.
Oh yeah, she won over like the crowd immediately. It was hilarious.
That is so funny. All right, dude. I'm glad that you're going to be here for Thanksgiving this year.
Yeah, I'll make it work for sure. I think, and if Liza has like you know her reading week or whatever, I think we'll make it work.
Great. All right. Talk to you later on, my man. Peace.
Yeah, peace, dude.
One of our all-time favorites.
He's the best.
He is the best. It looks like this Vegas story has knocked everything off. You know, the president is supposed to be in Puerto Rico tomorrow. I'm wondering if this will even change things here. It just seems like there's been bad news everywhere lately.
Yeah, and there was so much stuff just to talk about over the weekend. It's crazy to think some of the stuff that we're dealing with, the amount of news that has come through, and there's no room to think about anything. But
all I wanted to do was play Trump talking about where Puerto Rico is.
It's the best. I mean, I can't even believe it's real.
Yeah.
It's so good.
And the fact that he says water the way I do, it made me very proud.
Yeah.
I felt very proud because people always say, did you say water? And now I can say yes. Like the President of the United States of America.
Well, my boyfriend's from the same area, and he was just like, I didn't know that he said water.
I never heard him say it that way before. But maybe he's been hanging out, you know, with some of the Philly people. Big win for the Eagles. By the way, Big J was at that game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I have a thing for his Instagram. And when the Eagles came out, the place went crazy.
Dude,
San Diego Chargers, they are stuck without a home game.
I cannot believe. I mean, it's just watching it at home. You could hear the Eagles fans just taking over.
Every game that the Chargers play is an away game.
Yeah.
Every game that they play. I know there's a lot that he says before you get to that water part, though. Isn't there a way like you could have headphones like into that so you could cue it up like you were a DJ on stage?
Yeah, but then they'll be playing through your guys' earphones as well. It'll play through all of the earphones.
Yeah, but not on the air?
It won't be on the air. It'll just be through your guys. You'll hear it too, but it won't be on the air.
These are headphones, not earphones.
Headphones.
Excuse me, stewardess, do we get earphones? It's a headphone, but for my ears. What did you say? The four horsemen are back together?
4 minutes left in the show.
Oh, okay. You gave me the big four. All right, go ahead and hit it, but you know what I'm saying.
I understand.
Has never been seen for something like this. This is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. We're closely coordinated.
First of all, let's just take it back. That should be something that we talk about constantly.
That should be weeks.
That should be our T-shirts.
That should be everything.
He just found out where Puerto Rico is.
It's big water.
And then after that, he gets
Ocean
a little
water.
meaner. He's like, they can't do it themselves.
Yeah.
Texas couldn't do it themselves. They needed help from the feds.
Yeah.
You're giving them $120 billion.
And just before that moment, he says something like, the relief, pretty sure this is probably the biggest ever. Like, he sort of says something like, I'm not sure about just probably statements on stuff like that.
But I bet
you don't know definitively, maybe don't throw it out there.
even it's the best thing that ever happened or the best worst thing that ever happened.
Right. Nobody's dealt
Now he gets Vegas.
100%. When I saw this, I was like, instead of saying this happened on my watch, this will be like nobody's had to deal with.
Yeah.
He'll be able to work with whatever.
No matter what happens.
The world throws at him, he's going to say either it's the best thing or nobody's had to deal with anything this bad.
Blame it on Rocket Man. That's where I'd like to see it.
100%. Big water. Ocean water.
Jeff in Ontario. Jeff, go ahead, buddy.
Hey, Benningtons. I hope you're doing well today.
We're always doing well. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Now, I know a lot of people have already touched on this, but just the whole gun culture thing. And first of all, Canada's not perfect. We've got problems here just like anywhere. But I think a big difference is, and I'm a fan of this stuff, like everything from Davy Crockett to Tombstone, Arizona, the Wild West. And it's that mythology and it's pride. And I'm probably not saying this right, but I almost feel like before things are really going to change with gun violence, there's going to have to be giving up some pride, I guess.
Well, I'm with you 100%. This is the thing about us in Canada. They have the same amount of guns that we do.
Yeah.
They watch the same movies that we do. They have the same video games. But they're much more likely to getting into a fist fight or headbutt somebody than they are to go there and shoot up the town. There's something different between Americans and Canadians, and we haven't put our finger on it yet. But it's certainly, I don't think that it's rap music, and I don't think that it's video games or whatever, because we kind of had this stuff before movies, and
even sometimes people think a history of violence.
Yeah.
There are many countries that have a history of violence, that their nation was built on wars. And
I mean, England, France, Italy, everybody has a history of violence. At some point, it's up to us to figure this thing out, though. But to the people in Vegas, we've all been the center of something like this before. So, let's leave this with a genius to play a song for us. And we'll see you guys again in 1974.